Charlie, I was hoping that you could speak, for yourself and also for the team, if you don't mind, as a veteran player. But what was the reaction, and what was your reaction in learning about Scott Oberg over the last couple of days?
My heart breaks for Scott. I mean, that's just a really unfair situation, and he's done everything that he can do, and that the Rockies have asked him to do, and gone through the surgeries and the rehab and the ups and downs with his health to put himself in position to go out there and play baseball this year, and to have it happen again, it's super disheartening. I feel really bad for Scott, and I just know how much he enjoys playing the game, and how much I enjoy him being around. It just makes you realize, how fragile careers are.
Buddy mentioned that he was going to maybe stop by today. Have you been able to talk to him in person?
In person, no.
Or otherwise, does he seem okay to you?
Yeah, I checked on him last night just to make sure he got home from the hospital okay. And I didn't want. He's got probably 1,000 things going through his head, and important people to talk to, and so I kept it super brief.
Gotcha. And then with the team, there are only a few of you now who've been around long enough to have grown from sort of some lean years into a playoff team, and then sort of back down a little bit again recently. How tough really is it to lose a player who's been around long enough for that kind of perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really gotten that far yet as far as what it means to not have him on the field for us. But anytime you lose a veteran player like that, who's a guy that you count on to go out there and get outs, a guy with that kind of experience in Denver is not something we have every day. So that's going to be some innings that we miss this year, certainly.
And then, I realize that, a lot of times players and pitchers are sort of separated, but did you get a sense that he really did sort of have that he was sort of a force in the clubhouse? Somebody that other pitchers could turn to, and is that going to be difficult to?
Yeah, even aside from his ability on the field, his presence in the locker room was very positive one. He's one of our representatives in the players union, a guy that people look up to, a guy that people go to for advice, a really good pitcher in terms of learning how to scout and how to attack hitters and how to use your mind on the mound. I mean, he was a guy that brings a lot of value to our team.
Gotcha. Thank you, Charlie.
Go to Danielle. Danielle, go ahead.
Hi, Charlie. Danielle Allen, talking from the Denver Gazette. For you personally, how are you feeling at this point in spring training, and how close to 100% are you feeling?
What was that last part? I'm sorry.
How close to 100% are you feeling?
So at this point in spring training, I'm feeling good, right? I've managed to go from off-season not baseball player to bodybuilder to getting really strong, then transition onto the field, and do that without any hiccups. So that's the most important thing. Check that box as of right now. I feel good physically, and I've put myself in position to play the season.
Some of the other players have mentioned you become more of a leader this spring training, always sharing tips and helping everybody out. Have you noticed yourself doing that more, and does that come natural to you?
I think that role is constantly evolving and moving forward. I think for me, a big part of what I try to do is get outside of myself and my performance, which is really hard to do. it's much easier in spring training when stats don't count for me to really lock in on other guys and talk to them about what they got going on in their swing, or talk to them about how their slider looks. Just I think it's important for me to know that, or have my teammates know that, like, I'm right there with them, locked in on what they got going on and caring about what's important to them. And I think that's a big part of what makes our locker room so good right now.
And I know you mentioned that you didn't talk to Scott in person. Do you know if he did end up coming to the ballpark today?
I had heard that he might stop by, but I haven't seen him.
Thank you.
Tracy Ringlesby.
Charlie, in spring training, normally you have certain things each year you want to work on in particular early that take priority. Was there anything that stands out this year that really became a focal point for you in the early part of camp?
Yeah, there's a few things that I wanted to do in the box, in certain situations. I really wanted to work on, like, my mental game or my approach. And so I've really focused on those. I'm not going to get too specific with that, but there are some things that I feel like were or are weaknesses, in my game offensively, that I feel like I can get better at.
Thanks, man.
I'll go to Dwayne, and then we'll finish up with Thomas. Dwayne, go ahead.
Hey, Charlie.
Hi.
You're going to the final of 3 days of spring training, 3 more games to go. At this point, what do you really use these final 3 days to help yourself prepare for when things begin in earnest on next Thursday against the Dodgers?
I've used the first part of spring training to get my reps in, to build up my capacity, get my swings, get out on the field, play defense, run the bases, all that kind of stuff. And so now I'm really trying to transition into how I'm going to use my brain in the baseball game, right? I want to have the exact same positive thought processes and start transitioning into that really high focus big league mindset.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, we'll finish up with Thomas. Thomas, go ahead.
Yes, Charlie, wanted to explore a little bit more about Scott Oberg. I know that him being the player rep and knowing a lot of what goes on in Major League Baseball. Do you guys talk about some of the deeper things? Maybe an average player with a pitcher on a team.
Yeah, Scott and I have really good conversations. We both like to play chess on the plane, so we'll play chess against each other occasionally. Sometimes he'll bring some video to me and run it by me to get a hitter's perspective, and we'll get really in depth on the pitching side of things, and he'll ask me a bunch of questions, to help him learn what hitters are thinking, and I feel like he's a really good conversation, whether it's baseball or not. So yes, I would say we have some interesting combos.
Yes, and hey, also to follow up on kind of your role here, Dave Maggott had talked about you speaking to the team, and several teammates have also talked about it, talking about hitting, controlling the effort level, things like that. What was it like to stand in front of the team, I guess it was twice, and kind of give your views on it? I know that's a little bit different for you.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to play long enough to notice patterns with myself, patterns that are really just my weaknesses. And then I started asking around, talking to other hitters, and sure enough, like, it's not just me. Other guys struggle with some of the same things that I struggle with. So I just collected my thoughts and decided that it might be a good discussion for the group. I don't think it was anything. It wasn't like any new revelation, groundbreaking information. I think it was just a really organized way of thinking through how you want to how you want to hit in the box. And I think sometimes it's good for me to, like I said, organize those thoughts and sift through them and just pull out the most simplest, most effective things and really focus on that and not get so confused with all this other peripheral clutter.
When we've talked before also, you've been the type that you want to kind of come to your decisions. You don't want to be feeding a whole lot of information to people. What was it like to be standing there thinking, now I have to say the right things as opposed to saying things that I would not want to hear right now?
I don't think I understand your question very well. I mean, I don't like to give away too much information to you guys, but it's one thing to not, like, I don't want you to write an article about how I'm really working on hitting fastballs, you know, and then have the other team go read it. But like my, you know, inside the clubhouse, like that's very much something I want to talk to my teammates about. Is that what you mean?
Well, that was going to be my next question. I appreciate that. The thing I was saying was, a lot of times a hitter maybe doesn't want too much information from too many people.
Absolutely.
Weird for you to stand there in front of a bunch of guys that may have their own ideas and kind of give your ideas to them. And
yeah.
Were you thinking, I don't want to confuse these guys?
Yeah, and that's why I said I think eventually I end up with something pretty simple that I feel like everybody can agree on it, and maybe it helps a couple guys here and there, and maybe, you know, most of the guys throw it out, you know, and they got it figured out and they like their program or whatever. But I don't think it's a universal way of hitting where everybody's got to hit like this or anything. You know, I think it was just something that I felt like we could do better as a team, you know, including myself. And that, you know, that's how I arrived at what we talked about, is basically me deciding that I'm not very good at this, and this is how I'm going to approach it and hopefully get better. And then it was just me sharing with the group, you know, what I've learned about my weaknesses.
And just the final thing, I know we talked earlier in the spring, and it's been the talk of the whole spring. What is the mindset of this team right now, just days before opening day? I mean, do you feel like you guys are who you are or who you're going to be, or is that going to be a work in progress over the course of
I mean, I think no matter what team you are, 6 months of baseball is a long time, right? There's a lot of games to be played. 162 games is a lot of baseball. I think the best way to go about it is do your work every day, you know, put your head down, grind it out, you know, compete every single pitch, make your adjustments along the way, and not so much look up at the scoreboard too often, right? Like that, because that's not going to affect you one way or the other. So, you know, I think our guys are really focused. I think we're right where we need to be. I don't think anybody's taking anything for granted. Everybody's got to go out there and play well. I mean, that's what we're trying to do all the time. Doesn't matter when, where, you know, our guys are trying to do the best we can. And you know, I think we've approached it that way this entire spring, and I think we're in good position.
Hey, thanks, Charlie. I really appreciate that, man.
All right.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.